Hey, Brian Sullivan, founder of Precise Selling, with your weekly video tip. Now, I got to share this with you. I've had a very nostalgic couple of weeks. Of course, I have a 23-year-old son who no longer lives at home, so I'm forced to watch really bad television with my wife. Got a 16-year-old junior in high school who I rarely see. She's just too busy for dear old dad. And last week, I dropped my daughter off at the University of Missouri for her junior year, and I only hope she continues to need me. And, this time of year, dads like me and moms and family members, they do get nostalgia. And I started thinking back to when my daughter, my Maggie, the high schooler, was 5 years old. And I wanted to be really involved in her upbringing. I wanted to be involved in school. I wanted her to see me almost everywhere she went. And this one particular task I got early on in her kindergarten years was as the CLHO, which is otherwise known as the Chief Library Helping Officer. I got 1 week duty. I was on fire that week. And of course, not spending a lot of the time in the library back in college myself, I completely screwed up scanning the books in and out of the system. And I got countless dirty looks from Miss Crabapple because I was probably messing up the Dewey Decimal System. But after she gave me some looks, I settled into this chair. Now, kids, what's so great about that age is they all gather around the teacher in a big circle and their heads are looking up like this. And, they're really curious to hear what that teacher's going to say. And on this day, the librarian opened up a colorful book and started reading it. And after each page she read, she would pose a question to the studio audience of children. And she'd say, "What did you think? What did you see?" And every kid would say, "Ooh, look at me. Oh, please. Oh, let me answer the question." They all did it. But a funny thing would happen when she would finally point out a child. "So tell me, Jimmy, what did you think of that picture or that book?" How often the kid would just go, "Oh, dear, I didn't think you were actually going to call on me." And then some other kid would pipe in and say, "Hey, pick me." And of course, that kid wasn't really prepared with an answer as well, would also just blankly stare at Miss Crabapple and wait for some other kid to jump in. Now, my wife says I have a sickness, says I have a lot of sicknesses, but one sickness is I'm always looking for some learning lesson in the things around us. And I started thinking about that little library class and how it applies to business and the world that we live in. And I thought, how many times do we raise our hands, we put our name in the hat at our companies, maybe for a new position or maybe a new responsibility. We seek more responsibility. We're raising our hand. But when the time comes to step up, are we really prepared to answer that call? Right? We want to be loved, but we don't want to be loved that much. I see this all too often. So this week, I want you to think about, one, your value to your organization. The question is, are you ready for any next step that might be presented to you? Are you wanting and longing for somebody to call your name? And if so, don't wait for them to call your name. Be prepared now so that when they come at you, like Miss Crabapple came at Jimmy, there is no pause, there is no blank stare. You are so ready to deliver the reason why you are the right person. The knowledge and skill that you have will be a gift to your organization. There will be no hesitation and no sign that you aren't ready for the answer. So, in fact, here's what everything about you is going to deliver. One, start now with your attitude and enthusiasm. You got to convince people around you that you have the energy for the next responsibility because they're making decisions every single day of who on the team will be ready when the time comes. You also have to convey the fact that you have a really open mind to innovative ideas, but don't wait to share your innovative ideas. Don't wait for them to call on you. Think of issues that need solving right now, and don't be afraid to present them to those leaders, right? And certainly when the time comes when they call on you, you've already thought through these solutions. It'll roll off your tongue like poetry because you have the ability to think creatively. Next, I want you to look at your brain as a stock price, your knowledge and skill. You need more knowledge and skill than anybody in your department, anyone in your region, anyone in your territory. But here's the good news. You have complete control over this by studying. If your stock truly is your brain and your knowledge, you have to dictate and dedicate 1 hour each week to do nothing but study. Can you imagine 1 year from now if your brain is 52 hours more knowledgeable and more skillful? And don't forget, if you are in sales, You need a repeatable sales process. I don't care if it's precise selling or some other one. If your company invested in teaching you the art of selling, be the best at it. Study it, practice, drill, and rehearse it. Make other salespeople around you better. You're showing leadership. And along the way, you're becoming a better salesperson. And you know what Miss Crabapple, the CEO, is going to see? They're going to look at you and they're going to say, man, that person really has hunger to be the most valuable asset in their region, in their department, which ultimately I think they've got the hunger to make them successful throughout the organization. But they have to see it now. Don't wait for them to call on you. So as a recap, I want you to spend at least 60 minutes each week through this next school semester, because we're all back at school, working on those qualities and skills, so that when CEO Crabapple is in need of a leader, an innovative person, somebody to take on that new task that even might be annoying, you're going to be the first person to raise your hand and say, I want the job. I want the task. You're going to be the first one to answer the call, and ultimately the first one to perform at the highest level. So I hope you enjoyed this week's tip. If you've got any thoughts, put it down here and we'll hash it out. So on behalf of the entire Precise Selling Company, which is those people who I miss so much, my wife and 3 kids, I'll see you next week for your Precise Selling Tip.